All right, let's
Anyway.
get it started.
So lose for a second straight night. We'll wait for Jimmy to come in before we get into the meat of it. Lot to talk about tonight. There's some good, some bad. Jaylen Brown, an awesome game. We'll get into him. And again, there's a lot to talk about with Jaylen because, again, he just continues to impress. Peyton Pritchard hurt. That's bad. We'll see how bad he's hurt, but I mean, he went out immediately, and that meant more Jeff Teague minutes, and nobody likes that. And just a whole bunch of frustrating little things to talk about. So, Bobby, just your opening thoughts on the game. And we all watched it. I'm gonna get at Marcus a little bit again here for the down the stretch stuff there. Just inexcusable lapses left and right that really hurt him. But we could start with that, or you can go in any direction you want. But that's where I'm gonna go.
I'm going to go there too. The turnover, that was the play. You look at 4:20 left, you're down 6.
Yeah.
And Simmons had just gone an and 1, and you let him run the other way for 2 and essentially end the game there with a lazy pass.
It's more than that, though. Before that, he's got they're down. He could have cut the lead to 2 on that nice cut where he has a layup, and then he turns a layup into a 10 out of 10 degree of difficulty sort of shot. Okay. And then they go the other way and they knock down a 3. That was a 5-point swing right there. I mean, just a disaster. And then the turnover there, it's just a total meltdown, late there where you had a game that could have been a 2-point game and all of a sudden it's an 8-point game and it was over. And then Philly was off and running. And Marcus was whatever the opposite of catalyst is, for that. He lit the flame. He was the tinder. Jimmy, I like you up here, buddy. So I'm moving you.
Okay. What did I miss? Because this is the first time in show history I couldn't hear you right off the top. I don't even. I was probably talking over you and didn't even know I was talking over you.
You were talking about the quote. You were reading the quote, and we were trying to tell you that we're live. We thought you were doing it for effect. Yeah.
No, I had no idea we were live. I mean, I could have been reading a lot worse, but
yeah.
I mean, I guess sum it up. Brad Stevens sounded disappointed in the team in the fourth quarter there, which checks out.
Fourth quarter meltdown. We went in a little bit on Marcus there. I mean, he's not the only person. There was a lot of breakdowns, but just that exchange there where he took that crazy degree of difficulty layup, and then the turnover, of course, and the game was over there after he threw that lazy pass to Simmons. So just a bad couple of sequences there for Marcus, but really the whole team in the fourth quarter, just a collapse like that. I mean, how many times? What was the game earlier in the year where it was over? And then the other team went on like a 10-0 run in 12 seconds. It was the Pritchard tip-in game.
No, there was another game where the starters had to come back in too. Was that the
there was that,
game?
But there was the Pritchard tip-in game. I think was a 10-point
Miami.
game.
It was the 10-0 run against Miami.
Yeah. And that happened in like 48 seconds. This one was at least 90
right before
seconds.
The layoff. Yeah. So that has happened this year, certainly. We know the defense hasn't been great all year. I think that's where things started to go awry early in the fourth. Lapses against Simmons, letting him get into the lane with some kickouts. I was disappointed, though, that they did such a great job on Joel Embiid in this game. Now he ends up with 38, which doesn't look like a great job in the end, but they got him into some foul trouble. They forced a little frustrating stretch on him through the midway point of the game. And to let Kirk Boz, Simmons in the fourth, who had been struggling for pretty much 7 straight quarters to start this. I'm thinking of Danny Green a little bit too when we consider his offensive rebound, and then down the stretch of this one as well. And Dwight was great in this one, in that third quarter. Like, the role guys killed Boston here. I thought this was the worst bench night for the Celtics, and the starters collapsed too, of course, in the end. But what set it up after the Celtics had a pretty commanding lead midway through was that bench disaster in the third. I thought Green was better late, bad early in this one. Semi got going a little bit late. I think a Tice got knocked around a little bit by Embiid, as you would expect. And Rob had a great stretch early, but you couldn't go back to him later. So not the best night for the bench. And you know how I feel about Jeff Teague. I don't even have to say anything about his night.
You really are going to go with there, Jeff Teague. You're going to give the Jeff Teague cheap shot this early in the show? You couldn't resist.
He was awful. He was so bad. When
of the people we're going to talk about who are bad, are we going to focus time on the guy who's like the fourth guard on the team who plays about 8 minutes a game, or the two dudes who started who were just absolute net negatives again, with Grant Williams and Tristan Thompson starting playing.
They were better than Teague, though.
Thompson, I'm not gonna really bash Thompson tonight. I thought he played much
He was
better than he
better.
did Wednesday. They tried to get him going a little bit early in the game. I mean, they were driving to the hoop and they were finding him wide open under the basket. He missed a couple, or at least missed one. That I mean, John, like we've talked about, he makes it look difficult on offense. He makes it look very, very difficult. The ball just does not leave his hands like how it should. I don't know
Who are
if
we
he just
talking
can't.
about?
Thompson. Like the 4 foot, 6 foot, like
He's
little
flat
shots.
on
Yeah,
both
he just
ends
like
right
Everything
now.
is.
he just can't really get to where he needs to get. But they are working at it. I thought he played much better tonight than Wednesday.
On offense, yep.
On offense, yeah, sure.
Defense, still not good.
Defense.
I heard Grandy on the radio say Embiid, and this was through the third quarter, 9 of 10 against Thompson.
It's not even close. It's an automatic bucket. There's not even a token resistance. It's abysmal.
Tice not much better either on the defensive side.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know. I mean, they have nobody. Very few people have someone who can match up with them.
Rob did all right.
Thompson is supposed to be able to put up a little bit of a fight, and he can't.
Now, Embiid is just
Right.
nasty. That stretch he went on against Rob in particular, because Rob was, competing down there, holding his ground, but then he would pull out the spin move and the footwork and the ducking up and under against them. Just impossible moves to deal with. And then you saw him gaming the officials. When they started, you saw Tice bump him a few times on some rebounds. He comes up with the neck. He comes up with the knee. I think that was in the second quarter. And all of a sudden, after halftime, the free throws start flowing again. I saw he got up to 11 by the end of the night. He ends up, it wasn't a 21 free throw type night for him, but, he made his mark with the officials and ended up getting his 14 of 15 at the line by the end of this one. His efficiency is insane. He hits both threes. I mean, this guy is just moving closer and closer to MVP status to start this year. And again, through foul trouble, 30 minutes, he scores 38.
I know Greg Leclerc is clearly not a big Grant fan. The comment is up there for a long time, poor Grant. But I will say it was tough watching him try to put some low post moves that he just doesn't have. I mean, I don't know where you go with Grant. I know they're starting him right now. I'm just my basketball brain isn't big enough, but I just don't see maybe what other people see in terms of really what he's
Brad
really good at out there.
Brad clearly stopped seeing it as well, because he pulled the plug in the second. He pulled the plug early.
But I saw him late too, though.
No, but I'm saying he played 11 total minutes. He played 4 in the first half.
You know what I hated too? That
Brad
you
saw it and he killed
Yeah,
him.
right. Well, it's a tough matchup. I mean, anybody you put in that position is going to be tough. We haven't even mentioned Tobias Harris, or maybe you guys haven't. I haven't, and I wasn't listening.
No,
but
we
I mean,
haven't talked about him all series.
Another guy that he's a guy that listen, he can score. He got the money that he got, but I think a lot of people in Philly would have probably gotten rid of them if they could. I mean, he's a guy that you can't let him get everything he wants to get like he did tonight. And he was Wednesday. He was great for them, and tonight he was even better. So if he's on and Simmons is doing his thing, which again, it's crazy that he won't shoot an 18-footer, but he's so effective the way he is on both ends. I mean, it's almost like you want to criticize him and I want to make fun of him, but I can't because he's the reason that Philly pulled away like they did down the stretch there in the fourth. I mean, just what the other effects he has in the game.
He's an excellent mid-range shooter, and those break up the game a little bit. It's kind of like a Jaylen Brown thing that you see from him this year.
Wait,
Philly,
wait. Are we talking about Harris or Simmons here?
Harris.
Okay, yeah, Jimmy had switched.
Yeah, well, I moved it to Simmons, and I know Simmons isn't a great.
He's not an excellent
shooter.
No.
It was Simmons who pulled them from Celtics were in striking distance, and then Simmons' effect in the game, defensive end and on the offensive end. Even though he doesn't shoot, it's still reason to consider him a very lethal option out there on the court.
Yeah, and he gets the transition game opening in that fourth. Yeah. You shouldn't see the game that wide open in the fourth quarter, though, and that comes down to the turnover that we already went over a bunch. But I also see from the Celtics this whole series, and the Sixers did it too, and they got hurt for stretches of the game doing this, just gaming the officials. And Grant did it, which was worst of all. You're going to take this crazy fadeaway shot on the baseline and stop playing to talk to the ref. Tough. And that ended up being a transition breakout in the third quarter. And it's like, what are you doing? You haven't had any success all season offensively. You think you're going to get a call? And, Smart does it a little bit. Jaylen has done it
A little
throughout
bit.
stretches of the series.
So
all right, a lot.
You mentioned it. Smart is now at the point where he's like the boy who cried wolf. Like, even if he does get fouled, like, I don't even think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt anymore because of like the history there with the flailing.
How about the play at the beginning? The elbow falls, and B just sends it out to Harris, and then
B
Smart,
is like, what's this guy doing? And then they go and go down the court, and Marcus is pretending like he got hit in the mouth. He didn't get hit in the mouth. I understand reacting to an elbow that's coming your way, but
I've never understood.
You can't go 150%. Like,
I've never understood this. The refs, there are cameras. Okay, they watch this. If they don't catch it in real time, they see it after the game. It's like, that stuff kills your credibility. You can't do stuff like that all the time.
That one didn't have a chance.
You've completely lost credibility. There's
not only that, John. But that being said,
Embiid gets away with it. Embiid flopped 40 times tonight.
Yep.
Embiid embellishes everything, and it's more embarrassing when you do it when you're 7'2", 270 pounds. You're drinking a margarita?
Actually, yeah, I am.
Good for you.
That's a good tasting drink.
Well, I figured it's Friday night. I imagine a few of the people watching tonight will probably have some sort of bev with them. So we like to sort of mix it up with the commenters. So I figured I'd, join the people on.